Breaking Down the Law is sponsored by Battle Board Injury Lawyers.
We are breaking down the law this Wednesday, and we're talking about the coronavirus in nursing homes. In the last few weeks, there have been reports of 2 Las Vegas Valley nursing homes having some major outbreaks. And we do know that 20% of all coronavirus-related deaths are reported out of these nursing homes. So let's talk about these 2 facilities. The first facility being Heights of Summerlin, and the second one being Horizon Health and Rehabilitation. So let's go ahead and bring in our legal expert here, Matt Hoffmann. Matt, one death is one death too many. And if you ask the loved ones of those who have passed away, obviously they're still hurting as a result of this loss. So what are some of the state's findings about these facilities?
Yeah, I mean, so the most recent case, this Horizon case, is in the news now because the state released its report. Apparently, they'd started investigating the facility in early April. And what they found is just unacceptable. I mean, there's literally cases of, I mean, this is what we've heard before, right? When I talked about the New Jersey case a month ago, you had residents who tested positive for COVID-19 being put into a shared room with somebody who wasn't positive. And then, and then it just spreading from there. The staff were just exposed to every patient. The patients were all exposed to everybody. And, everything spread. And it's awful. It's unacceptable. And my question is, how could this happen when so many nursing homes have had these clusters for so long, and then this is happening again?
And you mentioned that because, we had the initial outbreaks in Washington, New Jersey, New York. So then what lessons could have been learned or weren't taken in consideration? Because now we're dealing with it here, Matt.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously the nursing homes have to answer for this. It's no excuse to say, well, we didn't know what the guidelines were. I mean, it's common sense. If you've got a sick resident, you don't put them in a room with another resident. I mean, you got to quarantine these people. They're already in isolation. But I think the biggest takeaway from this to me is it shows that, these facilities, if the residents don't have family advocating for them, nobody's advocating for them. And remember, when this all happened, the first thing they did is they didn't allow any family to come visit the residents. And here's the result. There's no oversight apparently. I'm personally disappointed in our state that, I mean, here we have investigative reports after the fact, but what was done proactively? I mean, this all started in February in Washington at a nursing home. And yet here we are having an outbreak in April, and now Heights of Summerlin is very recent, and they're just starting an investigation. I mean, I don't think it's unfair to be critical of the Department of Health and Human Services that more wasn't done to prevent this. I mean, government officials went out of their way to close down golf courses. Why weren't they going to nursing homes to make sure that these residents are safe, the most susceptible? And you look at states like Arizona and Florida, they have huge populations of elderly, individuals, and they really haven't had these outbreaks. And I think the difference was that the state, the Department of Health and Human Services and the Aging Division took more proactive steps to get involved to make sure that these facilities were properly quarantining people that were sick and isolating them. And same with the staff. I mean, Heights of Summerlin, I think, had 57 staff members test positive, something like that. Their numbers are on par with life care centers in Washington. So this is a huge issue. And yes, the facilities have to answer for this, but I think that the government needs to answer for this too locally on why wasn't more done proactively.
Well, definitely a huge issue that's not going away, and unfortunately some of our most vulnerable are the ones who are ultimately the victims in all of this. So definitely a story that we will stay on top of it. I know, Matt, that you've been paying close attention to it as well. So as we do each and every Wednesday, we'll be picking your brain and breaking down the law. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm.